agriculture was one of the areas hit hard during the December trough. Many of our farmers had their ponds flooded, their animals washed away, and the ponds silted. Immediately after the disaster, the Ministry of Agriculture assisted farmers in providing equipment hours for the silting of ponds and on-farm maintenance of drains and repair to affected ponds, and also replace the shrimp and fish that was lost. So today we are here to complete the final phase of that assistance, which is to provide feed to the farmers so that they can bring these animals they received free of charge from the ministry to market. So I would like, on behalf of the farmers being assisted, to thank the ministry for their assistance and for their support, and also to thank the Food and Agriculture Association for its assistance and support. I thank you.
I must say we have a minister who is really concerned about agriculture. From day one, after we suffered that the trough, the effects of the trough, he has made it his duty to engage foreign organizations, the technical staff of the Ministry of Agriculture, to ensure that we provide rapid response and, of course, the best technical advice to our farmers in getting them to reestablish and to correct the things that needs to be corrected to ensure that they are more resilient and better prepared for an event of that nature. Because of such, drainage works were undertaken. That was in a first phase where the government of St. Lucia actually provided over, I think, $100,000 in drainage works to do on-field drains, to try to get farmers to plant and to respond, to the whole thing. And then afterwards, further assistance came from AICA FAO, where they provided additional funds to ensure that the bigger drains, the collectors and the main drains, would be desilted. So quite a bit has been happening, and of course all of it is being done to help reestablish the oil farmers and to reestablish production. Today my main role here is to hand over symbolically, I think, one of the irrigation pumps, because in the process, in the trough, I think some of the farmers lose the pumps, they lose irrigation lines, they lose so many things. I know the minister wished he could have provided everything and the government of St. Lucia, but with scarce resources, I think we are trying to do the best that we can and to see that those persons who really deserve the assistance get the assistance. So the pump we have there today, basically, it has a good capacity, and the recipient of the pump would be able to irrigate at least 2 acres, assuming that evapotranspiration, that is the water that is lost from the soil and the plant, is about 4 millimeters. So he could irrigate as much as 2 acres at one time within an hour. So these are the type of things which we really want to ensure, and the engineering division, which is what I'm part of and which I'm the head of, will work along with you to give you the best technical advice in using those pumps and to ensure that you use it effectively and maximize the use. The other thing is, what I've realized that some farmers over-irrigate, some farmers sometimes under-irrigate. And the important question, the important thing that we need to know is when to irrigate, how much to irrigate. And that is a science by itself. And you'll find many farmers just putting pipes together, putting a sprinkler together, or putting drip lines down on the ground, and they see water and they're satisfied. Or they feel that that is the best thing. But there is a science behind it, and that is where we come in, the engineering division. So we'd like to inform the farmers and get the farmers to realize that there is a body, a technical group, or a technical division that can provide very good assistance in terms of effective utilization of the pumps and getting the best out of it. When we look at St. Lucia with so much rain, all right, I think our production is supposed to be good, but too much rain can affect our production through floods, and too little rain can affect through drought. And it brings me to Israel, for example. Israel is a place that with very little rain. And Israel, I was told, would receive the rain that we would get in 1 month. Israel will get that for the entire year. And yet they can produce, and they have mastered production. Why? Because they have mastered the art of irrigation, the science of irrigation. And I think we can probably not reach there, but we can make a greater improvement or better impact with our irrigation. And of course, with your drainage, well, that would help, and I think that could make a difference. So all in all, I want to encourage the farmers, let us not do things as usual, but learn from our mistakes. Let us not let the same thing happen to our pumps, where it could be washed away by the rivers and floods. But in terms of hurricane, we have to bring them to a safe place, so that, and these type of calamities don't happen. So all in all, I want to say thanks on behalf of AICA and FAO, which help in sponsoring, and of course the hard work or the generous efforts of those organizations, and of course the staff of the ministry. And whatever assistance that you need in terms of engineering, you can approach our division and we will definitely provide you. Thank you very much, and get the best use out of the assistance.
So I am very happy for this occasion today, because the FAO has really assisted us. I remember immediately after the trough, the minister called and said, how could we assist the farmers? And within 2 days, FAO was saying, what can we do to assist farmers in St. Lucia after this trough? Because they had seen some scenes on the media of what was happening in St. Lucia, and they were particularly concerned about the agricultural sector. And within 2 weeks, they had already sent the head of FAO for the sub-region to St. Lucia. He paid a visit to just hear what was happening, to show their solidarity to St. Lucia. And after that, about 2 weeks later, so we're talking about a month after the events of the trough, a technical team was dispatched to St. Lucia to see the damage and to see how FAO could assist the farmers in St. Lucia. We came all through here, and they were really shocked at the damage that happened around the island. And within another month, a project was already approved by FAO in Rome at the tune of $310,000 to assist St. Lucia farmers. And so this occasion is very momentous. It is also important because FAO engaged us and engaged the farmers and came on the ground to see how can we assist the farmers. And so this assistance is anticipated to go a long way in rebuilding the agricultural sector. So today we would have things such as irrigation pumps, computer printers, animal feed, seeds, pesticides, but also they are also going to be assisting the livestock farmers. And all of these things have come in the form of this project. The other thing that they have done as an international organization is to look at how can we mitigate the impact of future occurrences. So in the event that we have another trough or we have another climate disaster, how can farmers build resilience? And so that's part of this project also, to look at how we respond to disasters in the future. So without taking up any more time, I'm really happy on behalf of FAO for this occasion, and also on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, to see that we're rebuilding the agricultural sector and that these disasters don't put us back too much further. Thank you.
I wish to thank God, first of all, for the strength that He has given to me, to my family, and to all of the workers of the ministry to fight this fight, because it's really a challenging task when we do not have all the money that we want, and we have to still go around and ensure that people continue to produce food and that we continue to do the work that we have to do in agriculture. I wish to thank the ministry, Ms. Daniel, Mr. Jabatis, Mr. Monero, Mr. Seri, all of our staff, the extension officers, Mr. Kojo and those in the different divisions, in the different regions. I want to thank them for the work that has been done since the Christmas Eve trough. Many people don't realize it, but the staff of the ministry, they have had to work very hard, night and day, to ensure that our farmers get back on their feet. We have had programs. Mr. Monero mentioned some of the programs. We have had programs in drainage. We have had contributions to farmers with seeds. We have had contributions as a result of our partnership with ICA. We have had programs where women have been given assistance, women's groups, and also young farmers groups through ICA. And so we thank those organizations also for coming on board to assist the farmers of St. Lucia and to assist the government and people of St. Lucia to recover from such a disaster. What I am very pleased about is in many of those programs, it is not simply giving farmers things. So, for example, we have programs whereby ICA and the ministry, in addition to giving you the fertilizer and the chemicals and so on, the staff of the ministry continues to discuss with you disaster plans and disaster mitigation. Because what happened in December of 2013 can happen again. And even though we give you all the pumps and we give you the fertilizer and so on, and we are in the hurricane season, and you go and you put the fertilizer next to the river in an area that is at the same level of the river bank, then it means that you have not learned anything. And so for us in the ministry, giving you things is important, but it's not adequate. Giving you back fertilizers is important, but that's not adequate. Our job is also to help educate you, not only about production and marketing, but also about disaster risk mitigation. What can we do if we are going to rebuild the shed where we are putting the pump? Where should we rebuild it? And if the river was all downstairs in this building and we are giving computers, do we still put the computers downstairs? Or if we put it downstairs, can we have some measure so that when we hear the news about the weather, we can have a shelf somewhere that we can put it, so that we don't have to come back over and over and do the same things over and over again? That is part of the education that the staff of the ministry is trying to impart, so that we do things differently. And even what we plant, can we adjust what we grow so that when it's hurricane season and so on, and nowadays we can't even just prepare for hurricane season, because last year December it was not hurricane season. So it is not even just hurricane season we have to prepare for. We have to do things in a way that will help us to mitigate, to prepare ourselves just in case we have another disaster. And I'm hoping that the generosity of organizations like the Food and Agriculture Organization, like ICA and other organizations, and also the taxpayers of St. Lucia, who paid for some of the drainage and so on, I'm hoping that we've learned some lessons from the Christmas Eve trough, so that next time, not if it happens again, because it may not happen in the same way, but we know, based on what we're hearing from the scientists, that something like that may very well happen again. So we need to prepare ourselves and adjust to see how best we ourselves can survive. I want to say to you that I believe strongly and sincerely that agriculture and food production will help not only St. Lucia, but the countries of the Caribbean to get out of the economic problems that we have. And everywhere I speak, I say so. So I say to you, what you are doing and what workers in agriculture and food production are doing, and fisheries and so on, we always knew that this is important for the country. But now it is even more crucial for us to know that what we are doing is not just for us to sell to the marketing board or to the market to make money to feed our family. That's important. But we have a greater role, a bigger role in the country, and that is to produce and create employment So that if you expand your farm, you'll employ somebody, even though you don't employ them full time, but somebody will get a bread and produce enough so that you can make profit and the country itself can revive from where it is today. And I truly believe that. And so all of what we are doing in the ministry, some of what we found, because I'm a minister for 2.5 years, some things we found that we are trying to improve upon, other things we are trying to do differently, new things we are trying to put in from help with the Food and Agriculture Organization, ICA, the Taiwanese government, and the Israeli government, and everybody who can assist us. All of those things have to come together with the expertise of the people at the ministry to produce a better country, to produce more employment, and to ensure that we eat safer food, and to ensure that we eat fresh food, so that we can attack the problems we have in health. So our job is when we think about agriculture, we want more and more for us to think about food production and food security, and not just, because when people say agriculture, most times people think just about the soil and a farmer with a fork and so on. That's what is agriculture. But no, we want to live what we know to be true. And while this is not new, we always knew agriculture involved much more than that. But we want to live it even more. So when Mr. Monero speaks about irrigation and how you simply can't just go and buy pipes and say you buy any pump and just do anything, we want you to understand that those days should be over. Although I'm sure this is not the first time Mr. Monero is saying that. I'm sure this is not the first time Ms. Daniel have said some of the things that she said, and Mr. Jabatis and Mr. Kodro. I've been at meetings even before I was a minister, when I was trying to get my farmer's ID card, and I heard some of them say some of those same things. But we cannot ignore them anymore. We realize, as a result of what happened in December, that our entire livelihoods can just disappear right before our eyes, within 24 hours. And so we want to encourage you to join with us. We want to encourage you to be part of the movement to get younger people involved in agriculture, in food production, and in fisheries. We want to encourage you to follow the example of some people who, for example, live in the middle of Mondidon, and they are growing fish and celery and vegetables without the use of any soil, in a small space less than half the size of this building. We want to encourage you to realize that there's a farmer in Babuno, for example, who's doing mushrooms and doing so well with the hotels in a very small space. We want to encourage you to tell you that during the dry season, if you make good investments with irrigation, you can be much better off than waiting for the rainy season when everybody is planting lettuce and cucumber. We want to say to you that the staff of the ministry is there to give you that kind of advice. We want to say to you that fisheries also involves tilapia and shrimp, and we see more and more and more and more farmers getting involved in that. And we want to tell you that we are ready to assist you in that regard. And we know we have difficulties. The government has difficulties. There are lots of challenges that are happening all around the Caribbean and in St. Lucia, but none of those challenges, pièce se bagay sa la, pa kay empêcher moun manger. No matter si ou ni la dje, si ou ni whatever ou ni moun ni pou manger. And the fact that people must eat means that farmers, fishers, people who are involved in food production always have a job. We always have a job. So when people speak about unemployment, farmers and fishers and people who are involved in food production always have a job. We simply need to know how to do that job profitably so that we can sustain ourselves and our family. I wish to thank the Food and Agriculture Organization immensely. I wish to thank them for the speed in which they reacted. I wish to thank those officers in the ministry who were out there even after midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning after the trough, to assist the ministry. And by the next day, they were already telling us what was happening. So that when I went around, I saw some of them in the field, and I want to thank them for that. It has not been easy. We have had challenges to respond to the trough, to the effects of the trough. We have had challenges with drainage. We have had challenges, but I want to tell you that I am committed and the government is committed to ensuring that step by step we solve those problems. Je veux remercier dernièrement tout le monde qui aide nous. Avec ces matériaux nous avons joué aujourd'hui, il n'y a pas assez. Et moi, ça, il n'y a pas assez. Mais c'est un commencement, un petit pas en développement nous voulons faire pour aider pour vivre Hédicor. Je veux dire que travailler avec le ministère, avec nous avons poussé devant. Tout résultat nous avons gardé avec ces hôtels-là, avec comme ça, qui nous avons fait plus progrès. L'année après l'année, nous avons fait plus progrès. Avec ça, nous pour continuer à faire. Je veux dire, pays en difficulté, à chaque monde pas caché travail, mais n'importe bagaille qui fait un pays, moun ni pour manger. Avec depuis moun ni pour manger, femme pêcheur avec moun qui a produit manger, toujours ni travail. Ça nous ni pour faire c'est service moun en ministère pour voir qui manière où ça produit manger. Primaire pour faire plus profit et pour soin famille ou plus bien. C'est ça on y pour apprendre. Mais moun toujours ni pour manger et la toujours ni travail en agricole. So me ka remercier pour patience tout avec moi savent ou ka point word avec ou ka ti mettre essayer regarder qui ça fait mais nous la pour aider avec moi ka remercier pour venir aujourd'hui avec moi ka dit tout le monde ministre là tout le monde qui travaille ça là merci en chai ou ka été en chai pli ces plans nous ni là nous ni community meeting parce que nous ka ni meeting avec femmes tout partout au pays Saint-Lucie avec angoisse même ici nous avons un meeting tout avec nous avons plus plan à ça ministre là café. So thank you very much and I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you on behalf of the government of St. Lucia, on behalf of the people of St. Lucia for producing food, and thank you for being partners in what I know to be a big part of the solution to our economic problem, which is agriculture, food production, fisheries, rural development activities, and cooperatives. We are not forgetting that. Thank you very much.